Good evening, viewers. Welcome to this telecounseling session. I am Uma Meduri from Faculty of Public Administration, School of Social Sciences, IGNOU. Along with me is Dr. Alka Dhameja, Faculty of Public Administration, IGNOU. Today we shall be discussing new public administration. As you all are aware, public administration as a discipline, since its evolution in 1887 with the essay written by Woodrow Wilson, it had undergone several changes. Like now it's more than 100 years old, we find that there are many issues which have cropped up in this discipline, and the entire complexion of public administration has undergone a change. In 1887, when this politics administration dichotomy, which was propagated by Woodrow Wilson, later many further developments had come up in this discipline. Like as you all know, we had Taylor's scientific management movement, Elton Mayo's Hawthorne experiments, then the human relations movement, which in a way focused the significance of human element in administration. Then Herbert Simon's work on administrative behavior brought out the issue of the importance of logical positivism in the discipline of public administration, especially policy sciences. All these had become important. The same politics administration dichotomy at that point of time, especially in 1960s, it appeared that maybe that is not feasible and there is a need to bridge the difference or bring together this politics and administration. So all this we can say that the several changes that have been brought about in the discipline and practice of public administration, we can say that 1960s had been the time when lot of discussions and issues were raised about the status of the discipline of public administration. This generally we term it as a new public administration movement beginning in 1960s, where it had picked up certain important issues. Now we shall be throwing light on these in today's telecounseling session. So now I would like to request Dr. Alka Dhameja to further deliberate on this 1960 Minnowbrook conference and also bring forth what were the other factors actually which triggered this new public administration movement.
Okay, thank you, Uma. Now actually, like Uma has already told you, that public administration right from its inception has gone through various developments such as politics administration dichotomy and the human relations approach, the behavioral school of thought which brought in logical positivism and all that. All these developments in the area of public administration actually had a lot of impact on the discipline and practice of public administration. Right from the inception, when Woodrow Wilson gave a call for separation of politics and administration, we started thinking in terms of scientific public administration. Public administration as different from political science institutionally as well as analytically. Actually, Wilson's idea was to make public administration more business-like, more efficient, more effective, so that its day-to-day functioning is not interfered by politicians or it comes under the impact of politics. So this is what he always wanted to separate. So the intention was very good. He wanted to make public administration very effective by actually making a distinction between politics and administration. But the impact it had on public administration gradually was very different from what Wilson had idealized. Gradually public administration, because of the dichotomy between politics and administration, came to be viewed as a machine-like concept, you know, a concept which was so alienated from the political, social and economic problems, a concept which gave public administration only an organizational tenor. It came to be looked as an organization where only internal processes and procedures would make it efficient and effective. So public administration became a kind of island because of the politics administration dichotomy. And gradually there were many thinkers who criticized the dichotomy. For example, the behavioral theory of Herbert Simon. He talked about lots of things, like he talked about, he also believed, like Wilson, he also believed in the science of administration, but he felt that by regarding it as a science, public administration should not be immune to its environment. So it had to be scientific in the sense that a lot of logical reasoning had to go into public administration. So he introduced the concept of logical positivism in the sense that public administration comprises of hardcore facts, facts that can be empirically tested, facts which had to be separated from values, because according to Herbert Simon, values, if they start playing a very important role in decision making, in policy making, can really color public administration to some extent and can take away the sense of public administration. So he believed in the importance of values, but he wanted to separate values and facts, just like Woodrow Wilson. But because of his emphasis on logical positivism and his empiricism, scientific questioning, and a scientific decision-making process where he gave a lot of emphasis on human judgment, human choice, that actually made this behavioral approach very important in public administration. But again, there was another school of thought, a human relations school of thought, which said that, you know, you cannot view public administration just as a science. Public administration consists of so many people, employees, workers, their psychology, their team spirit, and all these factors have to be taken into view. So Hawthorne experiments were conducted by Elton Mayo, and 3 major experiments were conducted by Elton Mayo just to determine how the workers in an organization actually react to the policies of the staff, the employers. So a lot of things were done. I mean, sometimes they were told to work in a certain environment. There were certain incentives, and certain incentives in the sense of infrastructure were taken away. They were asked to work in certain illumination conditions, and, you know, in a certain way, in a certain group. And lots of findings were based on these 3 experiments, which showed that actually it's not the infrastructure, it's not the policy decision, it's not the monetary incentives also that actually work on the psychology of the workers. It's the workers' team spirit, the way they interact with each other, the way they regard each other, the way they regard the management. That all comes into view in productivity. So that really is very important for public administration. So this view also has its impact on public administration, and because it gave a human relationist element to public administration. But at the same time, because these experiments were very few and far between, it did not have the desired impact, because lots of people felt that these human relationists were just cow sociologists who actually made broad generalizations on the basis of very, very narrow findings. Just say Hawthorne and some more experiments cannot...
Yes, one second. Yes, please.
There's a call.
Okay. Call from... Yes?
सुनील बोल रहा हूँ जबलपुर से।
हाँ जी प्रवीण जी।
पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का स्टूडेंट हूँ।
या
हिंदी मीडियम है मेरा मैम, अगर आप थोड़ा हिंदी में भी बोलेंगे तो समझने में सहूलियत होगी काफी।
अच्छा प्रवीण जी, हम थोड़ा सा हिंदी में बोलने की कोशिश करते हैं बीच बीच में, क्योंकि हमारे दोनों ही माध्यम के स्टूडेंट्स हैं, इंग्लिश और हिंदी, तो बीच बीच में हम कोशिश करेंगे कि दोनों भाषाओं में बात करें, ठीक है? So, like I was saying, that these human relationists, like the behavioralists and like Woodrow Wilson, had impacted public administration. जैसे हमारे अभी एक विद्यार्थी ने कहा कि हम थोड़ा बहुत बीच में हिंदी में भी बात करें, तो मैं हिंदी में भी बात कर रही हूँ कि एक्चुअली पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, लोक प्रशासन को राजनीति से बिल्कुल अलग कर दिया गया था शुरू में ही, 1880s में ही, और बाद में जिन लोगों ने भी, जैसे हर्बर्ट साइमन के व्यवहारवादी उपागम से और ह्यूमन रिलेशनिस्ट उपागम एल्टन मेयो ने भी इसी अप्रोच को थोड़ा सा स्ट्रेच आउट किया, लेकिन उनका दृष्टिकोण बिल्कुल अलग था देखने में। लेकिन उन्होंने राजनीति और लोक प्रशासन की जो डायकोटमी, जो विभाजन था, इसको क्रिटिसाइज भी किया और साथ में ऐसा भी कुछ नहीं किया जिससे कहीं एक हम उनको ब्रिज कर सके, राजनीति शास्त्र और पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, लोक प्रशासन को किसी तरह से हम मिला सके। ऐसा भी कुछ रेवोल्यूशनरी या ऐसा भी कुछ बाद के थिंकर्स ने उस टाइम पे नहीं किया था, टिल 1940s दैट इज। सो दिस वाज द पीरियड व्हेन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज गोइंग थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ टर्मोइल, in the sense that there was a strict dichotomy which was being practiced in public administration, where it was totally alienated from its mother discipline, political science. Politics was in a way having an impact in the day-to-day administration of public administration, but in principle everybody wanted to keep public administration absolutely away like an island. पब्लिक लोक प्रशासन को ऐसे बनाने की कोशिश की जा रही थी जैसे लोक प्रशासन सिर्फ एक संस्था है या एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, और लोक प्रशासन का बाकी के आसपास के वातावरण और बाकी के आसपास की संस्थाओं, गैर सरकारी संस्थाएं या लोगों से उस तरह का जो एक इंटरैक्शन होता है, वो ये वाले उपागम नहीं बता पा रहे थे या कोशिश नहीं कर रहे थे एक ऐसी चीज बनाने की जिससे लोक प्रशासन को राजनीति शास्त्र और उसके पर्यावरण और लोगों के साथ जोड़ा जा सके। सो दिस वाज द टाइम व्हेन अमेरिकन एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज बेसिकली गोइंग थ्रू अ लॉट ऑफ टर्मोइल। there were other problems also, in the sense which we can term as theory informs practice paradigm, in the sense that it was always thought that, you know, whatever in terms of theory building, public administration was not able to throw up a theory. It was so unrelated to practice. Whatever was happening in the field of public administration at the micro level, at the grassroots level, at the project level, so many studies were taking place, but they were not being woven together in the discipline for theory building. तो जो एक थ्योरी का लोक प्रशासन में जो जरूरत होती है, एक ऐसी थ्योरी की जिससे लोक प्रशासन एज अ नॉलेज बढ़ सके, उस पे कोई कोशिश नहीं की जा रही थी। जो भी तरह के सर्वेज या जो भी तरह की स्टडीज फील्ड लेवल पे हो रही थी, उनको कोई भी एकीकृत करने की कोशिश नहीं की जा रही थी ताकि हम किसी भी तरह से लोक प्रशासन की नॉलेज को बढ़ा सके। तो एक ये भी हो रहा था। एंड देन देयर वाज अनदर थिंग, आई सेड दैट अमेरिकन सिस्टम वाज गोइंग थ्रू अ टर्मोइल। देयर वाज Vietnam War, which had cost very heavily financially, and also it got America a lot of criticism from other countries. And then there were problems in America in terms of race riots in urban areas. There were two major assassinations during this period. Another call? No. There were two assassinations during this period. Robert Kennedy was assassinated. Martin Luther King was assassinated. So this had a fallout, and Cold War was about to begin in 1960s because the two blocks were in confrontation, Soviet Union and America. So this was a time when lots of scholars were feeling very uneasy about public administration, the state of public administration. ऐसा लग रहा था जैसे public administration किसी और ही दिशा में जा रहा है, और जिस तरह हमने पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में सोचा था, ऐसा उसका कोई पॉजिटिव रिजल्ट देखने को नहीं मिल रहा था, क्योंकि बहुत तरह की प्रॉब्लम थी अमेरिकी समाज में, और दो मेजर असैसिनेशंस भी हुए थे, और टर्मोइल भी था, वियतनाम का युद्ध भी छिड़ा था, और सोवियत यूनियन के साथ भी अमेरिका की प्रॉब्लम्स थी। तो इस दौरान अमेरिकन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन स्पेशली उनको लगा कि कुछ इसके बारे में करना चाहिए, थोड़ा सा लोक प्रशासन के बारे में सोचना चाहिए। they had to revisit the theory and practice of public administration. So the government appointed a commission which is called the Honey Report, which went into the study of public administration, higher studies of public administration at the university level. It actually wanted to see what kind of public administration was being taught, whether it had any relevance for the people, for the students, for the society. So this was actually set up under John C. Honey, and it really brought out certain striking revelations in the sense that it really found that there were lots of institutional problems at the university level, a lot of academic problems with the curriculum of public administration. It suggested that some more funds should be generated to make public administration scientific, and it actually suggested that there should be some kind of synthesis between the government departments and the universities. The professors should be appointed in government departments, and some government servants should also teach, so that they can bridge the gap between theory and practice. तो theory and practice के बीच में जो इतनी दूरी थी, इसको ही जोड़ने की कोशिश हनी रिपोर्ट ने की थी, ताकि किसी तरह से भी पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन सोशली रेलेवेंट हो जाए, सामाजिक रूप से उसकी जो इम्पोर्टेंस है वो बढ़ जाए. तो इसकी कोशिश की जा रही थी. इसके बाद फिलाडेल्फिया में एक कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई जिसको हेड किया था जेम्स चार्ल्सवर्थ ने, और इसका भी यही उद्देश्य था कि किसी भी तरह से लोक प्रशासन को बहुत सोशली रेलेवेंट बनाया जाए. एंड इट वेंट इनटू लॉट्स ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स दैट पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज फेसिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ रिजिडिटी, हायरार्की, नॉन रेलेवेंस विद द सिनेरियो अराउंड, एंड इट शोड दैट it was time when social equity should be given importance. Social problems like poverty, unemployment should be given more importance, and public administration should be able to deliver results which the people want, which the society wants. So it was a very, very important, relevant attempt to bridge the gap between the theory and practice of public administration. All these events gradually culminated into the Minobrook Conference, which we call the conference which talked about the new public administration. It was new in the sense that it was a total break from what we had been talking about public administration, what the people had been studying about public administration, because the major purpose of new public administration was to bridge the gap between the theory and practice by making public administration more participative, more socially relevant, more value oriented. एक वैल्यू जो हम पहले बताना भूल गए हैं, वैल्यू जो न्यूट्रलिटी जो एक पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में शुरू से चलती आ रही थी कि ये ब्यूरोक्रेट्स को एकदम न्यूट्रल होना चाहिए. ब्यूरोक्रेट्स हैव टू परफॉर्म देयर ड्यूटीज without showing any allegiance towards the politicians or towards anybody, or they should just implement whatever is given to them in terms of policies and projects. So they were not supposed to bring in their biases and prejudices in implementation of those policies. Though value neutrality had a kind of a positive impact in the sense that it made bureaucrats very efficient, because they were basically functioning in a very mechanical way by only implementing the policies. But at the same time, it just took away the sense of public administration, because the bureaucrats had just become cogs in the machines. The administrators were not thinking. They were only implementing. They were not reflecting on what they were doing. They were not putting in their thoughts, their analysis to the problems that were coming to them. So value neutrality was something which was propounded by Wilson and Herbert Simon, but value neutrality was something the Minobrook Conference wanted to do away with. So this was these were the 4-5 major goals of Minobrook Conference. So let's now go. Before, I don't know whether Uma wants to say something, otherwise we'll just go about the goals of Minobrook 1.
Yeah. Like as Alka was saying, the first Minobrook Conference gave a different orientation. Like it attempted to look at public administration being more responsive, client orientation, and also to bring about this value thing into the discipline of public administration, some of which were not looked from this perspective earlier. So that way we can say that it was a turning point in the development, like the recent the developments that have taken place in the discipline of public administration. So that's why this has given this gave rise to certain goals which Alka will be discussing now.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So now let's discuss the goals of the Minobrook Conference, that is new public administration, just in a little detail. The first goal was the goal of politics administration dichotomy, which they wanted to do away with. So it was decided that it is just impossible to separate public administration from politics, because in everyday interactions, public administration has to interact with the political scenario, politicians, the administrators and politicians have to interact on policy making and policy implementation. The bureaucrats in a way always give advice to politicians on policy making, and the same policy is implemented by them. Sometimes the politicians also have a say in policy implementation, and also the evaluation is also done with the help of the politicians. So this is something which goes hand in hand. So it wanted to actually bring politics and administration together. In a sense, it brought political theory and public administration closer, and this was a very important goal of new public administration, which led to a lot of studies later on in different ways by different scholars, and really enriched the discipline of public administration. The other goal was the relevance goal. That is, they really wanted to look into the knowledge aspect of public administration. What is public administration? What kind of knowledge is it imparting? Is it really beneficial for the practitioners of public administration, the learners of public administration? So it actually wanted to make the knowledge of public administration more relevant, and it went into lots of questions. For instance, what is public administration? What is the purpose of public administration? Can public administration really be of some utility to the society? How do we determine the priorities of public administration? What are the standards that are important to determine the priorities of public administration? Who determines these standards of public administration? And how are these standards determined once we decide who determines them? So these are very, very relevant questions which this conference raised in 1968. And then another goal was of social equity. This is also a very important goal of new public administration, because it went into so many social issues which were very pertinent in that period. It went into the issue of poverty, unemployment, social justice, and it actually wanted to give a lot of importance to the disadvantaged sections, and it wanted public administration to make policies for the minorities, for the disadvantaged. In fact, in this context, Fredrickson, even when Fredrickson was one of the scholars who participated in this conference, the other scholars were Golumbieski and Henry Lamroyd and Dwight Waldo. It was basically, the conference was held under the leadership of Dwight Waldo. So these, and Frank Marini was another very important scholar. So these scholars were the upcoming scholars in American public administration, and Fredrickson in context of social equity even went on to say that if public administrators do not work for the minorities and disadvantaged, then public administration will be used by some powerful groups to repress minorities and disadvantaged sections. तो जैसा कि हमने बताया कि लोक प्रशासन में नव लोक प्रशासन, न्यू पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का एक ये इम्पोर्टेंट गोल था सोशल इक्विटी, सामाजिक न्याय. ये चाहते थे कि गरीबी और बेरोजगारी जैसे प्रॉब्लम्स को पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ले और पिछड़े वर्गों के लिए काम करे, पिछड़े या सताए हुए वर्गों के लिए काम करे. क्योंकि अगर लोक प्रशासन इन्हीं के लिए काम नहीं करेगा तो लोक प्रशासन का पूरा उद्देश्य ही बेकार है. और लोक प्रशासन को अपनी नीतियां बनाने के टाइम इन वर्गों को भी ध्यान में रखना चाहिए, और लोक प्रशासन को वातावरण और कॉन्टेक्स्ट के हिसाब से काम करना चाहिए, इन सब इश्यूज को ध्यान में रखते हुए. और लोक प्रशासन को ऐसे प्रश्नों में जाना चाहिए जो जैसे लोक प्रशासन क्या है, लोक प्रशासन के क्या उद्देश्य हैं, इन उद्देश्यों को कौन निर्धारित करता है, निर्धारण किस तरह से किन मापदंडों पे होता है, ये मापदंड कौन तय करते हैं. ये सब तरह के इश्यूज नवलोक प्रशासन की जो मीनोब्रुक कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई थी इसमें लिए गए थे. और एक बहुत और इम्पोर्टेंट जो उद्देश्य था वो था चेंज चेंज का, परिवर्तन का. New public administration actually wanted to absolutely change the theory and practice of public administration by totally diverting from what was happening earlier. So change was the goal. They actually thought that human relationist and behavioralist approach had made public administration very status quo oriented. So they wanted to move away and wanted to make public administration more innovative, more flexible, more participative, more client oriented, so that it is able to deliver the goods for the people. तो ये जो परिवर्तन का जो उद्देश्य था, ये भी एक बहुत महत्वपूर्ण उद्देश्य था, बिकॉज वो चाहते थे, जो स्कॉलर्स इस कॉन्फ्रेंस के थे, वो चाहते थे कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन गतिशील हो, पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ज्यादातर स्ट्रक्चर में ना पड़ा रहे और तेजी से काम करे और परिवर्तन के लिए काम करे, लोगों के लिए काम करे, पिछड़े वर्गों के लिए काम करे, लोगों को लेके काम करे अपने साथ, गैर सरकारी और दूसरे संस्थाओं को अपने साथ मिला के काम करे, ऐसे करे कि उसके उद्देश्य किसी के काम आए, समाज के काम आए. तो the main purpose was just to make public administration more goal oriented, more change oriented, more participative, more relevant, and more close to political theory, that is more close to the state. And this was very important, and I think to some extent we will be discussing the critical examination of NPA later on in this discussion. Uma will discuss it, but I think new public administration was able to deliver the results, and it was able to achieve the objectives it was striving for to some extent, because a lot of research later on went into these areas. There were three very major publications after the conference by Frank Marini, Fredrickson and Dwight Waldo. Frank Marini wrote on towards the new public administration, the Mino book perspective, and Dwight Waldo wrote about the administration in the times of turbulence, and Fredrickson also wrote about new public administration. So, and many other scholars later on, many other paradigms, which I will be discussing also later in this program, also were benefited by the NPA movement. So, and Golombiewski, who was also an important participant, also came out with certain anti-goals of new public administration, which he said were anti-logical positivism, anti-hierarchy and anti-technology. उनका मानना था कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो लोक प्रशासन है वो बिल्कुल भी लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म के हिसाब से, मतलब किसी दिए हुए फैक्ट्स के हिसाब से नहीं चल सकता, क्योंकि इनमें वैल्यूज का भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है, और वैल्यूज को बिना हमारे जो प्रेजुडिसेस और हमारी जो मान्यताएं हैं, इनको हम बिना सोचे समझे अगर कुछ करेंगे तो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन अपने उद्देश्यों को पूरा नहीं कर सकता. तो ही वाज एंटी लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म. ही सेड दैट न्यू पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज एबल टू मूव अवे फ्रॉम लॉजिकल पॉजिटिविज्म ऑफ हार्डकोर facts. It actually broad-based and brought into its purview the role of values. It was anti-technology in the sense, it was not anti-technology in the sense that it did not actually believe that technology is not good for public administration. It said that technology which is relevant for human beings, which is relevant for social and economic context is important, but it was anti-technology in the sense that it did not want to actually view the human beings as machines. That machine concept it was able to move away from. तो उनका नवलोक प्रशासन गोलम्बियस्की के हिसाब से एकदम जो यंत्र की तरह हम मानव को लोक प्रशासन में ले रहे थे, लोक प्रशासन को भी एक मशीन की तरह समझ रहे थे, इससे भी अलग होने में लोक प्रशासन काफी हद तक नवलोक प्रशासन काफी हद तक सफल रहा. और थर्ड जो उनका था एंटी हायरार्की, उनका ये मतलब था कि पहले की जो लोक प्रशासन थी वो बहुत ज्यादा रिजिड थी और बहुत ज्यादा सोपान क्रम में मतलब बिलीव करती थी कि ऊपर से चीजें कैसे नीचे, मतलब एक तरह से प्रोसीजर अडॉप्ट करती थी जिसमें लोग हायरार्की फॉलो करते थे, पहले सीनियर्स फिर जूनियर्स, इस तरह से चीजें चलती थी, फाइल मूवमेंट होती थी, जिससे काफी हद तक पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को नुकसान हुआ. और इस वजह से गोलम्बियस्की कहते थे कि नव लोक प्रशासन काफी हद तक हायरार्की से हटने में सफल रहा. सो ही एक्चुअली थॉट दैट न्यू पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन मूव्ड अवे फ्रॉम द हायरार्किकल सेटअप ऑफ अर्लियर public public and traditional public administration by giving importance to, as I said earlier, innovativeness and flexibility and participation and client-orientedness. So these were the anti-goals, and now before we actually critically analyze the whole paradigm, I think I would request Uma, my colleague, to talk about what happened after that. There was another Meadowbrook conference which happened 20 years after this conference in 1988. It was picked up the strings from this first Meadowbrook conference, but it was in a way a little different from the first Meadowbrook conference. And now Uma will tell us how it was different and what actually were the objectives of the second Meadowbrook conference.
Thank you, Alka. Like the first Meadowbrook conference, like it tried to look at public administration in the changing socio-political scenario, and the emphasis, as she said, was it was more on social equity. Now this conference, which had happened in the year 1968, हाँ बताइए. Hello.
Hello, कहिए. Hello.
हेलो मैडम, गुड इवनिंग मैम.
हाँ जी, गुड इवनिंग.
हेलो.
हेलो, आपको हमारी आवाज सुनाई दे रही है?
क्या? हाँ जी, दे रही है मैडम.
हाँ जी, बताइए.
हाँ, ये क्वेश्चन है मेरा, क्या पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में एक वैल्यू न्यूट्रल साइंस है?
एक वैल्यू नहीं.
बताएंगे मैडम?
तुम बताओ, मैं बताऊँ.
हाँ तो बताओ.
अच्छा, क्या पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक वैल्यू न्यूट्रल साइंस है? नहीं, यही हम इस प्रोग्राम में आप पहले से, आपको सुनाई दे रहा है ना? यही हम इस प्रोग्राम में पहले से ही डिस्कस कर रहे हैं
कि
हाँ जी, कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन शुरू में जिस तरह से पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के बारे में हमने सोचा था, हमने कोशिश की, हमारे स्कॉलर्स ने, शुरू के स्कॉलर्स लाइक वुड्रो विल्सन एंड हर्बर्ट साइमन की कोशिश थी कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को एक वैल्यू न्यूट्रल साइंस ही बनाया जाए, क्योंकि उन्हें लगता था कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन बहुत अच्छी तरह से कार्य तभी कर सकती है अगर हमारे जो प्रशासक हैं अपनी वैल्यूज को अपने काम के बीच में ना आने दें. और उनको लगता था कि वैल्यूज आने से पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन के उद्देश्य बिल्कुल गुम हो जाएंगे और पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन उस तरह से काम नहीं कर सकेगा जिस तरह से वो लोग सोचते थे. उनका जो पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का कॉन्सेप्ट था वो एक मशीन जैसा कॉन्सेप्ट था. जैसे पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक संगठन है, उसके कुछ उद्देश्य हैं और वो उद्देश्य उनको राजनीतिज्ञों द्वारा दिए जाते हैं और उन्हें उन उद्देश्यों को कार्यान्वित करना होता है. तो ये बिल्कुल वैल्यू न्यूट्रल ओपिनियन थी. पर लोक प्रशासन दरअसल बिल्कुल वैल्यू न्यूट्रल साइंस नहीं है और कभी हो भी नहीं सकती, क्योंकि लोक प्रशासन एक सामाजिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में काम करता है. लोक प्रशासन मानवों को अपने साथ लेके काम करता है, मानवों के लिए काम करता है. इसलिए लोक प्रशासन में हमारे वैल्यूज, प्रशासकों के वैल्यूज, राजनीतिज्ञों के वैल्यूज भी आते हैं. साथ ही साथ हमारे सामाजिक परिप्रेक्ष्य में जो वैल्यूज हैं, हमारे जो गोल्स हैं, हमारे जो पिछड़े वर्ग हैं, उनके लिए हम जो कुछ करना चाहते हैं, हमारे पर्यावरण के लिए जो हम करना चाहते हैं, हमारे जो जेंडर सेंसिटिविटी और सोशल इक्विटी जैसे और इक्वालिटी जैसे जो हमारे गोल्स हैं, वही पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को वैल्यू ओरिएंटेड बना देती है. तो मैं आशा करती हूँ आपको समझ आ गया होगा मेरा उत्तर.
हाँ, यस, कॉल फ्रॉम जबलपुर.
हेलो.
हेलो मैम, मैं ये पूछना चाहता था.
हाँ जी.
कि पारिस्थितिक उपागम में जो रिग्स के विचार हैं,
हाँ जी,
उसमें बहुकार्यात्मक प्रारूप और अल्प कार्यात्मक प्रारूप क्या है और उनमें अंतर क्या है?
बहुकार्यात्मक
प्रारूप और अल्प कार्यात्मक प्रारूप
रिग्स में.
जी,
रिग्स में ऐसे कोई प्रारूप है? रिग्स जो बात करते हैं, एक्चुअली मुझे इसके इंग्लिश के वो पता नहीं चल रहे हैं कि इंग्लिश में इनको क्या कहेंगे. आप बता सकते हैं? अगर आपके पास बुक है तो उसमें इंग्लिश में भी लिखा होगा ब्रैकेट में.
फ्यूज्ड, आई थिंक.
Fused and diffracted.
एंड डिफ्रैक्टेड.
जी,
फ्यूज्ड एंड डिफ्रैक्टेड.
जी.
अच्छा, रिग्स ने 3 तरह के फीचर्स बताए थे थर्ड वर्ल्ड कॉन्टेक्स्ट में. वो थे प्रिज्मेटिक और फ्यूज्ड एंड डिफ्रैक्टेड। तो उन्होंने जिस तरह की कंट्रीज पे काम किया था, उनका मानना था कि जो फ्यूज सोसाइटीज होती हैं उनमें ज्यादातर एक ही संगठन या एक ही आदमी, उनके हिसाब से चीफ होता था जो समाज में, वही सारे तरह के कार्य मेजर रूप से परफॉर्म करता था। और ये सोसाइटी ऐसी थी कि जो बिल्कुल ही परिवर्तन की ओर नहीं थी, जो एक क्लोज सोसाइटी थी, और इसमें कोई तरह का फंक्शनल डिफरेंशिएशन नहीं था, इन द सेंस कि एक ही बंदा सारे फंक्शंस करता था और कोई एक कार्य में कोई विभाजन नहीं था, कोई स्पेशलाइजेशन नहीं था और कोई चेंज ओरिएंटेडनेस नहीं थी। ये फ्यूज सोसाइटी थी। जो डिफ्रैक्टेड सोसाइटी थी वो एक एडवांस सोसाइटी थी, जो काफी हद तक स्पेशलाइज्ड सोसाइटी थी, जहां हर कार्य के लिए अलग अलग लोग निर्धारित थे, अलग अलग विभाग थे जो इसे करते थे। ये सोसाइटी बहुत अच्छी तरह से अपना कार्य करती थी और इसके अच्छे अपने उद्देश्य, चेंज और गोल की तरफ अग्रसर थी। और जो प्रिज्मेटिक सोसाइटी थी वो डिफ्रैक्टेड और फ्यूज्ड के बीच की समाज था, प्रिज्मेटिक समाज। इसमें कभी कभी ये देखा गया था कि कुछ लोग कुछ जगहों पर, कुछ जैसे रूरल लेवल पे या विलेज लेवल पे एक ही सब फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करता था, और लेकिन दूसरे लेवल पे कुछ ऐसे संगठन भी थे जहां स्पेशलाइजेशन भी थी, अलग अलग विभाग अलग अलग तरह के फंक्शंस परफॉर्म करते थे। और ये सोसाइटी में हर तरह के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स या पाए जाते थे। जैसे कहीं ऐसा लगता था कि ये बहुत तरह से विकसित सोसाइटी है, पर विकसित के साथ साथ दूसरी तरह के कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स भी होते थे। जैसे ये इंडस्ट्रियलाइज समाज भी था और औद्योगिक समाज भी था और कृषि समाज भी था। इसमें हर तरह के प्रिज्मेटिक में पाए जाते थे। तो रिग्स के अनुसार आप इसका हिंदी में आप देख लीजिएगा, क्योंकि मुझे बुरी तरह से इसकी हिंदी के वो नहीं आते, लेकिन शायद आपको इससे प्रिज्मेटिक डिफ्रैक्टेड फ्यूज से आपको समझ आ जाएगा कि प्रिज्मेटिक एक्चुअली रिग्स का एक ट्रांजिजिया मॉडल था, जो धीरे धीरे एग्रेरिया से इंडस्ट्रिया की तरफ परिवर्तित हो रहा था, स्पेशलाइजेशन की तरफ परिवर्तित हो रहा था, डेवलपमेंट की तरफ परिवर्तित हो रहा था, चेंज की तरफ परिवर्तित हो रहा था।
Well, taking from what we had left at that time, 1968, when the first Minobrook conference was held, after that there have been a lot of changes, especially in the American public administrative system. Like when the first Minobrook conference was held, there was a sort of maybe a sort of confidence that the bureaucracy or the administration will be able to do certain things, or responsive, like the sort of being client orientation, responsiveness, this was expressed. But slowly over the time we find that the role of the public administration, the complexion of public administration had really undergone a change because of privatization, like when, and also fears were expressed that the bureaucracy and the administration will not be able to deliver the goods. Even there has been a lot of resentment over time in these 20 years, whether the administration is really responsive to the needs of the people, and there has been a sort of a disenchantment with the bureaucracy. So all this had led to certain changes where there have been lot of privatization, outsourcing, and there were debates or opinions were expressed that the role of bureaucracy should be lessened, and there was also this thing of the state should do less. Like all this was a changing scenario at that time, when the Boston meet of the American Society of Public Administration, the scholars then decided that there should be a sort of rethinking, or then look at the theory and the practice of public administration and see where the discipline has progressed from the year 1968 to the year 1987. This meet took place in 1987, the Boston meet of American Society, where the scholars decided that there should be, there is a need now, not just the scholars of public administration coming together, because the discipline has widened and there it has become more and more interdisciplinary in nature. So we need to involve other scholars belonging to sociology, psychology, behavioral sciences, technology, to come together and deliberate on the changing complexion and what needs to be done in the changing scenario. So all this led to the second Minobrook conference, which was funded by universities of Syracuse and Akron, and there about 68 scholars, like earlier the first Minobrook conference had about 34 scholars, basically from the discipline of political science and public administration, whereas this was more wider in nature and it had more female representation also, and where all these scholars decided to come together and discuss the thrust areas. So some of the major things which emerged out of the second Minnowbrook conference is there was a general acceptance that the role of the government has now changed and it has become very wide in nature, and it is now more behavioral. This thing of behavioralism, though, was not that much prominent in the first Minnowbrook conference. In the second Minnowbrook conference, more of behavioral aspects has been brought into it, and it was found necessary that public administration needs to be more behavioral oriented. And as we have discussed, the first Minnowbrook conference focused more on social equity, but the second Minnowbrook conference, it found that the entire discipline and the practice of public administration now is in a scenario where, we talk of liberalization, privatization, globalization. So now administration has to respond to all these changes. So it has to be more change oriented and innovate, and it should be more innovative. And other aspect which was brought to light was there is no diversity. Like, we talk of gender diversity, sexual diversity, racial diversity. So all these aspects, even in the public policy formulation and implementation, all these things need to be taken care of. And the other aspect was there was a subtle acceptance that technology, of course, has a prominent role to play, but not much emphasis was laid as to how can technology be imbibed in the practice of public administration. But there was a subtle acceptance that technology has a role to play in public administration. And one more important distinguishing feature of the second Minnowbrook conference, unlike the first Minnowbrook conference, is it tried to examine the role of public administrator also, like how the role should be. Like it emphasized that the role of bureaucracy is changing. The administrator has to now bring in more interpersonal skills in public policy formulation, implementation, and has to develop the art of negotiation, conciliation, and has to bring together the various elements in any organization. And also the attempts have to be made to be more democratic. So it was emphasized that democratic process-based technologies or the techniques have to be brought into the practice of public administration. And there was a general consensus amongst the scholars of the second Minnowbrook conference that the role of the government is changing. But one of the things was they could not generally specify how the role should be or what aspects should be taken into consideration. They could not in a very clearly specified manner could address this issue. But there was a general agreement that, the administration has to be more and more people oriented. Like all these concepts now we talk about responsiveness, participation. The second Minnowbrook conference openly admitted that administration has to imbibe these qualities. So it has to bring in these elements in the functioning. So whereas like I would just like to distinguish now between the first and the second in a very brief manner. Like the first Minnowbrook conference was in a way very, very radical, whereas the second Minnowbrook conference we can say that it was more pragmatic, because it was found that now administration now has to bring together the best. It has to weave the elements of public as well as the privateness. Like there was an acceptance that the little bit of public also has to be brought in, because the delegates at the conference were not in favor of bringing the total private sector concept into the discipline and the practice of public administration. So it was felt that these seams have to be built, something of public, something of private, and the administration, as I said, has to be more and more participative and also take the various diversities in view while formulating the policies. So we can say that this public policy perspective which Alka was referring to, like it got more maybe crystallized in this, or it got some direction where it was felt that all these new elements which has come up in the changing complexion of public administration, where a little bit of, privatization, contracting we talk about, we talk of responsiveness. All these things need to be brought into this public policy making and implementation. That way we can say that the second Minobrook conference was slightly different from the first, where it also, one more thing was, it tried to bring more, as I said before, it tried to bring more this interpersonal elements. It gave emphasis to more developing of leadership qualities and also bringing about a sort of networking in the organizations. So later, at the end of this Minobrook conference and till now, whatever developments that we are taking place in the discipline of public administration, maybe with this bringing of this paradigm of new public management, all this, we can say that second Minobrook conference maybe was a initiating point from where these concept got a sort of a fillip. But whether the paradigm of whether the new public management, whether we call it a new paradigm or it is a half-baked thing or whatever it is, we can say that way the second Minobrook conference, which we term as the continuation of the new public administration movement, it really gave a focus and a direction to the changing concerns of public administration. And we can say that this new public administration in a way tried to give a philosophical approach to the discipline and the practice of public administration.
तो जैसे उमा ने बताया है कि दोनों ही कॉन्फ्रेंसेस अपने में बहुत महत्वपूर्ण कॉन्फ्रेंसेस थी, दोनों के परिप्रेक्ष्य एकदम अलग थे। पहली कॉन्फ्रेंस जिस टाइम पे हुई थी तो अमेरिकन समाज बहुत तरह की मुश्किलों से गुजर रहा था और पहला उद्देश्य उनका यही था कि पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को कैसे सामाजिक रूप से ज्यादा महत्वपूर्ण बनाया जाए, रेलेवेंट बनाया जाए। दूसरी कॉन्फ्रेंस जब 20 साल के बाद हुई तो बहुत सारा परिप्रेक्ष्य बदल गया था, प्राइवेटाइजेशन बहुत ज्यादा स्तर पर आ गई थी, ग्लोबलाइजेशन का इम्पैक्ट भी पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे था और पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन पे और विषयों का भी और स्कूल्स ऑफ थॉट का भी इम्पैक्ट था। तो अब क्योंकि समय नहीं है तो सिर्फ ये कहना चाहूंगी कि बहुत से उपागम हुए हैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन में, क्रिटिकल थियरी हुआ है, डिपेंडेंसी थियरी, रिलेटिव ऑटोनॉमी, जो इन सब कॉन्फ्रेंस के साथ साथ भी चले, सिस्टम्स अप्रोच भी रहा है, पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट अप्रोच रहा है, पब्लिक पॉलिसी पैराडाइम रहा है। तो इन सब पैराडाइम्स ये सब दोनों कॉन्फ्रेंसेस के साथ साथ ही चले हैं और लेकिन इन कॉन्फ्रेंसेस का इसलिए महत्व ज्यादा हो जाता है क्योंकि ये कॉन्फ्रेंसेस ने इन उपागमों के होते हुए साथ साथ इनका विश्लेषण भी किया, इन पे टिप्पणी भी की, प्लस स्कॉलर्स को एक दूसरे से बात करने का मौका दिया, प्रशासकों को लोगों से, प्रशासकों को दूसरे गैर प्रशासकों से और सरकारी अध्यक्षों से एक तरह से मिलने जुलने और विश्लेषण, लोक प्रशासन का विश्लेषण करने का मौका दिया। तो ये दोनों कॉन्फ्रेंसेस जो 20 साल के अंतराल में हुई, दोनों महत्वपूर्ण थी। अब हमें ये देखना है कि क्या हम एक तीसरी कॉन्फ्रेंस कर पाएंगे क्योंकि अब 2008 आने वाला है और 20 साल हो रहे हैं। अब पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर्स को चाहिए कि और रिफ्लेक्ट करें, देखें कि किस हद तक पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रेलेवेंट हुआ है, पार्टिसिपेटिव हुआ है, जो गोल्स हमने सोचे थे क्या वो सही दिशा में चल रहे हैं। सैद्धांतिक विकास पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, थ्योरी बिल्डिंग इन पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन इज समथिंग विच इज बीन लैगिंग बिहाइंड और ये कॉन्फ्रेंसेस ने बहुत कोशिश भी की है पर कहीं हद तक ये जो इतने सारे उपागम आसपास जो इस कॉन्फ्रेंसेस के चले हैं इनको लेकर ये कोई सैद्धांतिक विकास नहीं कर पाए हैं पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन का, पर प्रैक्टिस ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन हैज डेफिनेटली बेनिफिटेड फ्रॉम दीज टू कॉन्फ्रेंसेस एंड लेट्स होप that future conferences maybe can look at the loopholes of these two conferences and can work on the good work that has been done by Minobrook 1 and Minobrook 2. So I think you must have understood what we have discussed today. अगली बारी से हम कोशिश करेंगे कि हम थोड़ा सा अपना चैप्टर हिंदी में भी बना के आएं क्योंकि हमारे काफी लोग हिंदी में सुनना चाहते हैं। तो अगली बारी से हम काफी हद तक कोशिश करेंगे कि हम आपको हिंदी में समझाने की कोशिश करें जो आज हमको लगता है कि हम उस हद तक नहीं कर पाए हैं। Thank you, and I think I would like to thank Uma for giving a lucid picture of Minobrook 2, which was also a very important conference, and sometimes it is just sidelined by people studying public administration. तो आप Minobrook 1 और Minobrook 2 दोनों को एक साथ पढ़िए और इन दोनों में जो comparisons हैं उनको ध्यान से देखें और अपने निष्कर्ष निकालने की कोशिश कीजिए। Thank you.